So essentially what we're going to do is use 1 point perspective on a series of letters to make them look like they're receding in space. The letters that you choose are really up to you. You could do your name, you could do your last name, you could do your friend's name. Doesn't really matter to me. Just don't do only like 2 letters. Like don't just do hi. Okay. Do something that has at least 5 letters or more. So the first thing you're going to need is a 9 by 12 sheet of paper, a pencil, and a ruler. Okay. In the instructions, like it says, stated in text, first thing you want to do is draw a horizon line clear across the middle of your paper. The next thing that I'm going to do is put in my vanishing point. Now, where you put your vanishing point is going to determine a lot of things. I recommend putting it in the center, okay? But you're more than welcome to try putting it in different areas to get different effects. Just know anything that you draw below the horizon line is going to look like we're looking down on it. Anything that we draw above the horizon line is going to look like we are looking up at it. If you put something dead center, we're not going to see either of those angles. Everything is just going to look like it's going back into space. The next thing that we want to do is actually in the project, I put a link that gives you an example of some different types of letters that you could do. In Schoology, I want you to go to that link, click on it, and get some ideas for what you want to do. Now, you can actually, if you Google graffiti alphabet, there's some that are already pre-made in there that you can just use. But whatever you do choose, stick to it. So don't pull a letter from one style and then mix it with a letter from another style, because that is going to give you something that looks a little bit weird. I want you to have something predictable and consistent. So stick to the alphabet that you choose. Anything really works. And if you want to invent your own, I actually posted a video in the assignment that shows you how to start approaching making your own. So I chose one. The one that I chose, it's this one right here. I thought it looked pretty cool, but like I said, there's a ton of examples you can pull from. So looking at these letters, I'm going to do my last name. I'm going to try to make this about this big on the page, so I'm going to go ahead and do that. Do it using just pencil and line. Don't worry about adding value or anything like this. Just make sure your letters are big enough to fill up most of the page. I want you guys, whenever you're creating your letters, I want the letters to be overlapping. So to overlap letters, think about which one you want to be showing in front of the other and layer those accordingly. I'm doing my last name, so the O is going to be overlapped by this a little bit. So there's only a little bit overlapping, but if I didn't overlap them, the letter would continue like that. What I'm doing now is darkening in all of these letters. If along the way you realize you don't like the way that a letter looks, you're more than welcome to modify the alphabet that it is that you're using. So what we're going to do now, I have my vanishing point still here and my horizon line. Essentially, all of these edges and corners, we're going to make it look like it's receding backwards to the vanishing point. In retrospect, I kind of wish that I moved this down. So I'm actually going to move my horizon line right now. And you are welcome to do this. It's the easiest thing instead of redrawing the whole point. But I'm actually going to put my horizon line a little bit lower. That way it looks like the letters are going down in space. Remember, you can put your vanishing point anywhere along this line and it'll give you very interesting effects. But if you're unsure about anything, I would always just say stick it dead center. That way you know for sure what's going to happen. My text is all drawn in. If you don't understand what it says my last name. I have letters that are overlapping, so my S is in front of my O. It's overlapping part of the T is overlapping the O, and so on and so forth. You can kind of see how things are layered on top of each other. But now essentially what I have to do is take all of these vertices and curves and align them to the vanishing point. I'll take the ruler, okay? Start with my first vertice, which is on the S, right back here. You come right here. Go corner to point, draw that line all the way out, okay? I see another corner right here, take that vertice, draw that corner all the way out, okay? And just keep doing that for every single corner that you see. Now, on this particular set of text, there's a lot of rounded corners or rounded edges. So what I would do in that instance, so if I'm looking at this S right here and I see this curve wrapping around, I don't have anything to kind of ground my orthogonal line to. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to look at this bottom part of the S and I'm going to see where this lip of the curve sticks out the most. I'll take my vanishing point, line it up to that lip, and then draw that line straight out. To make this look like it's in perspective, the first thing that I'll do, sometimes it helps to imagine that there's an actual shape or a letter behind this, the same shape. So if this is an S, imagine that there's going to be a smaller S behind this. I'm going to duplicate this curve between my orthogonal lines exactly as I see it here. And wrap that curve back around. Come down over here. Alright. I know that this is overlapping. I'm not going to see any of this O anymore. So I'll erase that away. And now the bottom side is starting to come into perspective. So on this portion right here, what I'll do next is duplicate this angle over here. Make a parallel line. Alright. Now the bottom part of this shape is completed. If you want to, you can do it piece by piece like this and erase away the orthogonal line so that you don't get confused. But always remember, and I wrote this on the board, don't draw dark. Always draw light. Now for a piece like this, I have this angle coming back towards the vanishing point. I know this whole part isn't the side of this letter, so what I'll have to do, if I made this side size down here, I'm gonna have to estimate and see how wide I want this letter to be. So I'm thinking if I drop that line in right here, remember, think of it as another letter directly behind it. Just draw that line in. Kind of improvise right there. Sometimes you have to do that. Now for the O, I accidentally erased away this corner. I'm going to draw it back in because you know what? I'm going to end up seeing part of this come out behind the S. Okay? So I know that that's there. I'm actually going to have to draw this one back in too. I'm going to go vanishing point to the lip of this curve right here. It's a little weird, but you want to know where that is. Okay? And then you do the same thing. Connect that letter.
Now as I'm getting closer to this vanishing point, moving towards the center, you'll notice how these orthogonals start to change angle. So we started going this way, and it kind of moves like a clock. So dead center, you're going to have vertical lines. If you go anywhere to the right, you're going to have lines that are going to start bending this way.